The following WCIA3 News Special is brought to you by the McDonald Group, Express Employment, Copper Creek, OSF Healthcare, and Harriet's Rents Tents Events. Now honoring graduates with Celebrating Central Illinois. Here is your host, Amanda Brennan.
Good evening, I'm Amanda Brennan. Walking across a stage and receiving a diploma is a big accomplishment for anyone. Whether you're in elementary, high school, college, or even puppy school, graduation is a sign that you've achieved success and you're moving on to a new chapter in your life. Tonight, we continue our year-long special called Celebrating Central Illinois. Over the next half hour, you'll hear stories of many graduates accomplishing more than just a piece of paper. Now we start off tonight's special with a DeWitt County teen breaking barriers. Candace Evans is only one girl in her class, and I got to spend an afternoon with her in auto mechanics. Let's take a look. She's got grit running through her veins. There we go. And grease under her nails.
The guys like to give me crap, so.
And you take it.
Yeah, I give it right back.
Candace Evans is fueling her passion and living the life she's always imagined. She grew up drag racing with her grandpa.
I've always kind of loved being around the cars and working and helping out, even if it was just holding a flashlight.
So it only made sense to join the shop classes at Clinton High School. Over Candace's 4 years, she's learned to handle adversity while working on cars.
So we need a radiator hose from here to here, and our issue with finding one is that this is a bigger size than this one, so we have to have a hose that fits on both ends and two different sizes, so you can't like cut it in the middle because all the way through the pipe's like the same size.
She's also learned to stay true to herself while breaking barriers for girls in the field.
It's kind of awkward sometimes, being the only girl in the classroom or just in general in a lot of my classes.
She says the first few years were hard and she wasn't instantly connecting with her peers. That changed.
Maybe one of the pry bars? Is that worth trying?
Try it.
Oh my god, you have one, okay. I'm glad that like as an older girl now I can be the role models for the younger girls that are taking shop classes, that they can do things that are the right way and you don't have to always, cut the corners or misbehave.
Now she says a few more girls are in the trades classes and she's meeting more in the industry too.
At my boot camp there was actually one other girl there with me and we actually became really close instantly, so it was nice to have another girl in the room.
Candace spent a week in Decatur at the local 146 IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and accepted an apprenticeship there.
Part of what actually got me interested in going into the IBEW is race cars, because a lot of the race car drivers I know are actually other IBEW members.
And she only plans to pave more paths for girls in the future.
If you really want to do something and you're really passionate about it, just keep pushing for it, keep trying to be that person that's doing the right thing.
And her next steps are with Bodine Electric, where she'll be an electrician. She says she's excited to keep challenging herself, using math every day, and meeting more people like her in the industry. Now, when you have dinner plans, do you and your friends constantly send restaurant ideas back and forth? 3 U of I seniors can relate, and they wanted to do something about it, all while helping small businesses at the same time.
This started as actually a passion project way back in, summer of 2020.
Jack Munn's idea only grew from there, especially as the world started to reopen post-pandemic.
I started to think, holy cow, these are completely different. These are entirely unique to where I'm from, Crystal Lake. And I thought it would be really, really cool if we could slowly start to build community bucket lists.
So that's exactly what he did with 2 of his Geese College of Business classmates. They started working on launching a new app, Galleon.
Just click on something you might be interested in, so maybe like a food and beverage. And then what it's going to go ahead and do is now it's going to populate all of the different local food and beverage spots in the area.
The 3 U of I seniors want to draw people to locally owned restaurants and shops.
There's also nature spots and entertainment areas like axe throwing and things like that as well, campus building. So it's anything that makes the community what it is.
They also want the app to feel like a game.
What's the coolest game that we get to play every day? And not to sound cheesy, but it's the game of life.
So then if we come to the trophy looking tab, this is now going to be the leaderboard, and then you get to see all the top explorers all the way down as you kind of move throughout this, so you get to slowly see how you stack up against everybody else in the community.
You can also connect with your own friends on the app and leave restaurant reviews for each other on it. Rohan Harani knows those social connections are key.
If your friends are using it, that's when you're more likely to use it. So we are trying to make it so that as much as possible, people can feel connected to those around you.
It's a hands-on learning experience that entrepreneurs are thankful for.
I'm a finance student, but after a little bit of YouTube University, I've been teaching myself computer science over the past year and a half now.
When you entered U of I as a freshman, did you ever imagine yourself doing this?
No shot.
But 4 years later, Evan Waller is glad he tried his hand at something new. And now they're excited to see it grow outside of the Champaign-Urbana area in the future. After graduation, they're all starting full-time jobs in Chicago, but they plan to keep growing the app. I also asked them what did they tell people who are looking to start their own apps or businesses. They say to take the theories that you learn in class and expand them to the places that you're passionate about. Now this year's graduates, they're all making a name for themselves, but so are alumni. One of them is Sheila Johnson. She graduated from the U of I in 1970. Johnson is the co-founder of the Black Entertainment Television Network, known as BET. But before that, she was the university's first black cheerleader, and she kept breaking barriers after graduation. Johnson became the first black woman billionaire after selling BET, but she says it's not about what you have, it's how you plan to put it to use. U of I's cheer coach says Johnson's continued support has been an inspiration to students.
I think just even over the years, our team has become more diverse, and it's more diverse than it's been in a long time, but it has not always had a lot of diversity, just the sport of cheerleading in general. So I think that's a huge impact that she's made.
She says Johnson always questions the cheerleaders about their experiences and their goals. Those questions make a huge difference when they're coming from somebody as successful as her. It's a tradition that spans decades, why jumping into a pool is a sign of celebration for some nursing students. Also this.
It's nice to be able to help them and get what they need to live better lives.
She's talking about helping animals, where one high schooler has started a future career a little bit early.
Celebrating Central Illinois continues, honoring graduates.
Nurses at the University of Illinois Springfield are celebrating the end of undergrad. They turned in their finals, closed their books, and made a big splash. It's part of a tradition that one nurse says started at a rec center in Chicago many years ago. Now, nurses at all 3 University of Illinois system schools keep that tradition alive.
To jump in the pool with my classmates, this is a day I've been looking forward to for a really long time. So it's just great that it's like finally come, we finally made it. A lot of hard work, sweat, tears have gone into this, so to finally make it to this day is really big. It means a lot today.
They still have to take their licensing exams within the next few weeks, then they'll officially be registered nurses. A lot of kids grow up playing with stuffed animals and dream of helping real ones one day. One Christian County teenager says she's wanted to be a vet for as long as she can remember. Meet the Central A&M graduate who's juggling sports, school, extracurricular activities, all while dedicating her time to the Assumption Vet Clinic.
I've just taken a liking over the years to animals.
And that's why she spends a couple hours a week caring for them in a hands-on environment.
It's nice to be able to help them and get what they need to live better lives and be happy.
Bailey McDermott works alongside her sister Hunter at the Assumption Vet Clinic.
She can grow some nails.
Yeah, she can.
I'll bring the animals back for their beginning of the appointments and get the rundown of everything that's going on and figure out what they need and then relay it back to the doctor.
It means a lot to her because she can help give a voice to the animals when they can't talk themselves.
They can't determine what they need, they can't relay it to their owners, so we have to figure it out.
It can be hard to discover what the pets are feeling, but the Central A&M senior isn't letting those challenges get in her way. She plans to study animal science at Southern Illinois University Edwardsville this fall.
I want to go into more of the exotic part of it. Eventually, I think it'd be cool to be working at a zoo.
And later continuing to learn and go to vet school.
It's just something different. Not a lot of people do. You get to see a lot more animals and be hands-on with them, and I just think that'd be really cool.
She says she's excited to get into a new environment and meet people with the same passion as hers. She knows she'll be working with animals regularly in the program, which is exactly what she pictures herself doing. Now, graduation season isn't just about humans crossing the stage. It's also a time to highlight some of our furry friends, like these. Check out these cute puppies at Champaign's PetSmart. They just completed a 6-week training program and are now celebrating appropriately with treats, diplomas, and graduation caps. The pets learned commands like sit and stay, and some also focused on eliminating jumping and pulling on their leashes. The trainer says on day 1, the dogs didn't know any commands, and by the end, many were behaving a lot better.
I think it's important because it helps the pet parents bond with them a little bit better, because a huge issue that we have throughout the U.S. is when dogs don't listen to their owners, the owner's first instinct is just to drop them off at a shelter because they just can't handle anymore. So this kind of guarantees that pet to have a nice, safe home for them to stay at.
Says graduation is always a special day because it shows the progress. Now, if you're deciding whether or not training is the right path for your dog, check out our website, WCIA.com. One high schooler lost her mom years ago, and now she's keeping her memory alive through a nonprofit. Plus this.
And so to dedicate this to her.
Other teens are also keeping their mother's legacies alive, how they're doing it in Douglas County through businesses that they created. It can be tough to start your own business, especially from scratch. Now imagine being a high schooler and balancing it with other classes and activities that of course come with being a teen. A handful of our COLA students accepted that challenge, and after a semester of hard work, they're now presenting their own ideas. 2 of the students are doing it all in honor of their moms who have recently passed away.
She always told me to always do my best in life and always follow my passions and my dreams.
Rachel Sigrist is following her mom's advice and doing just that. She's one of many Arcola high schoolers in the CEO program. It stands for Creating Entrepreneurial Opportunities, and another student says that's exactly what's happening.
It's sort of like a step ahead of what you would get in a regular high school classroom, and you're stepping out into the real world and experiencing all these cool things, getting to meet different business owners and making connections throughout your communities.
Edie Budd's brewing up her own company, Community.
I come from a European background, and there it's really common to drink tea. And growing up, my parents always made it a priority to sit around the table almost every night.
Bud says that's when she had some of the best conversations with the people she loves the most, especially her mom. Breast cancer took her life in 2021.
She loved tea, just like me, so I was like, well, I'll have a really good reason behind why I'm doing this. And even, if there's times where it gets hard in this business where I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? I have that reason to always fall back on.
Sigrist relates. Her mom died nearly a year ago. Within the CEO class, the Begonia Bakery was born.
One of her favorite flowers was the begonia, and it's currently one of my favorite flowers too, so I thought it'd be fitting to name it that. I wanted to dedicate this to her and continue on her legacy, because she was always known for making the zucchini bread and banana bread, so I wanted to continue that on for her.
But it didn't come together overnight.
We did a lot of planning. We made our own business plans, and that took a while to do, and we had to present them in front of a board of bankers, and then eventually we got our money into where we could start our stuff.
Sigrist says business runs in her blood.
Some of my family own their own businesses, so they kind of inspired me to want to start my own business and continue that on.
But Bud says she never pictured herself in the shoes she's walking in today.
I originally joined the class because my brother did it.
But now she's learning more than she ever imagined.
Mainly making connections, the importance of building roots in your community. It helps so much in everything you're doing, having roots everywhere you go.
Both of them are staying local for college. Rachel is planning to study business at the U of I, and Edie is heading to Eastern Illinois University, where she's majoring in education. Now, from high schoolers creating their own businesses to another one starting her own nonprofit. This is Sarah Jane German in Monticello. Her mom passed away from a rare cancer about 6 years ago. Now, German is making it her mission to make sure other families have the support that they need when navigating a scary diagnosis.
In my family, she was our source of hope, even though she was the one going through hard times.
Sarah Jane German is talking about her mom, Beverly. She battled adenoid cystic carcinoma, better known as ACC, for 8 years. The Cleveland Clinic says it's a slow-growing type of cancer that forms in the salivary glands.
My mom is as extroverted as you could get, and so she knew everyone, which in turn meant that they knew her.
German is keeping that memory alive. She's doing it through her nonprofit, Cure ACC.
We're hoping to start bringing people, even from across the world, to support one cancer patient at a time.
That starts with chemotherapy care packages for patients and connecting them to people who can help them along the journey. German says it all started with a small Instagram account a few months after her mom died in 2017.
It just kind of took off faster than I could handle, and now we're here and it's just growing.
She wants to break the stigma around the disease. Growing up, she says people were scared to ask her mom questions directly and asked her 5-year-old self instead.
There's this bubble around cancer patients that people don't want to pop, and they're so scared of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, and potentially hurting them that it leads to isolation.
She doesn't want that to keep happening and says Monticello High School is helping her reach that goal.
I walk through the halls and I see any teacher and I say, hey, I have this new thing coming up, and they are so stoked for me. It's amazing because I don't get that, I don't get that validation from my mom, and to hear everyone else rally behind me is just filling that hole I don't have.
Her dad, Fred, is beyond proud of her work and says he sees a lot of aspects of Beverly in his daughter.
She's just outgoing, friendly, talks to anybody, and she certainly didn't get that from me. So, just an incredibly positive attitude.
Even with moving south for college next year, Sarah Jane and her dad know it's important to keep pushing Cure ACC further ahead.
I want to give one little girl in my place 8 more years with her mom, because my 8 years will never be enough.
One Millikan graduate is taking center stage, how his theater journey ended up in Decatur, and this.
I knew that I wanted to make an impact in that type of field because it's rare and it's understudied.
He's talking about studying biology while in college, why he's on a path to find a cure for a rare cancer in the future. One Millikan graduate has his sights set on the world of musical theater. Now, Gavin, he didn't take the normal path of going to college right after high school, though. After spending time in several states, he finally landed in Illinois. Now he's ready to take his talents to the next level. Gavin King has a unique spark.
It was like I plugged in the outlet and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
It started in a middle school show where he barely had any lines.
Once Upon a Mattress, and I got cast as a silent king.
But that was just the ignition he needed to chase his dreams like he never has before.
I wake up, I think theater. I go to sleep, I think theater. So I think I made the right choice.
It hasn't always been a straight line to success for King. He started his journey at home in Kansas City, then took a leap of faith and moved east to Maryland.
From there, I was able to also dive myself into choreographing musicals, which then led me to California, and then our lovely friend COVID hit.
So the actor went back to the drawing board, knowing he wanted to finish his bachelor's degree.
And since Kansas City is only 5 hours away, which is close to home, I said, I can do Millikan. Decatur's not too far.
He was accepted and he jumped right in. He completed the 4-year program in just 2.
I've been very blessed to have been in roughly about 5 to 6 stage productions here in Millikan.
As for a favorite?
Oh, good question. I would have to say this year, not because I'm a senior, but in the fall I got to play Santa Claus in Buddy the Elf the musical, and get to be Santa Claus. When do you really get to be on Santa Claus? So it was so great.
Theater consumes nearly 8 hours of his day, but he doesn't mind.
For me, it's almost like a life force. It's like it fuels me to continue going throughout my day.
King says as an adult transfer, he was especially surprised, but hopes he can share some of his best advice to the next generation of artists following his footsteps.
The world is so big and broad, and there's so many wonderful people that are there for you, and all you have to do is ask for help.
And at the end of the day,
just long as I'm able to tap my toes and sing my songs while I'm working, that's all I really want in life.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. This summer, King is headed to New Hampshire, where he'll be working with kids in directing. He'll be at the New London Playhouse and lead them in all things singing, dancing, and performing in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Finding Nemo Jr. We're going to introduce you to another Millikan graduate now. Meet Jarius Ingram. He's called Decatur home for his whole life. Growing up, he loved playing basketball and video games with his brother, just like anyone else would. He didn't fully understand, though, that at the same time, his buddy was battling a rare disease. Now he's dedicating his life to finding a cure.
At that point, I was like, why is my brother losing his hair? It doesn't make sense to me.
But eventually, Jarius Ingram started to understand. His brother, Jalen Jamar, had cancer.
He passed in 2009 of rhabdomyosarcoma. It's a cancer of your skeletal muscle tissue, and it's primarily in kids.
He battled it for 2 years and died when he was 8. So when Ingram started as a biology major at Millikan University, he took things into his own hands.
I knew that I wanted to make an impact in that type of field because it's rare and it's understudied.
The American Cancer Society says there are about 400 to 500 new cases of rhabdomyosarcoma each year. Ingram's dedicating his time to studying drugs usually used for heart failure and seeing if they can kill cancer cells.
You grow them in little flasks and you put them in these plates and you give them different types of drug treatments and see which ones pretty much die the most. So it can be very emotional and kind of tough sometimes thinking about it, or just even looking at the very cells that were probably present in my brother. But it's also given me kind of closure in knowing that like I'm doing this in honor of him.
He wants to make sure no family is torn apart like his.
He was my best friend, like being able to just play, like do whatever. We'd play basketball, we'd play video games.
Ingram spends a few hours a week in the lab and other time serving the Millikan community.
I'm the president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes on campus, so we connect Christ in our sport.
He says in the last 4 years he's grown spiritually and was baptized on Millikan's quad. He's also on the men's basketball team, an RA in the dorms, and the lead of many national honor societies. I asked him what keeps him motivated to balance it all, and he says it's all about helping push others forward.
And I have this drive and like this purpose of like I know what I do matters, and I think that's what we all kind of like just want, is to know that am I doing, like, do I make a difference in this world?
Over the last 30 minutes, we introduced you to graduates all over Central Illinois doing amazing things. We enjoyed telling their stories. Now we look forward to the month of June, where we'll feature parents and the hard work that they do for their families. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.
This has been Celebrating Central Illinois, honoring graduates. Brought to you by the McDonald Group, Express Employment, Copper Creek, OSF Healthcare, and Harriet's Rents, Tents, Events.